Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a different type of video. I am going to be doing a video covering a bit of Twitter drama and an article from the Transformed Wife. The Twitter drama came about in reference to me responding to a tweet by the Transformed Wife and then one of her apparent stans replying to my tweet, which turned into a approximately 10-hour back and forth between me and the stand, and then another Twitter follower who was also agreeing with the things that I was saying got into it. It turned quite nasty. Today is going to be a different type of video for the fact that here in a minute I'm going to be bringing in my 14-year-old son. I'm going to be asking my son some very pointed questions that the Transformed Wife has brought up in a number of her blogs. Things like women shouldn't go to college, women shouldn't have jobs outside of the home, women should be wives, mothers, cleaners of the home, cooks, and subservient to their husbands, and that's all that they should aspire to. Now, I'm going to give you some background before I bring my son into this into this video. I was married to the father of my children. He was a Christian man. We went to church every Wednesday. We went to church every Sunday. There was prayer in our home, there was Bible reading, but there was also a lot of things that were outside of Christian parameters going on inside that home. I was an abused wife. While I was pregnant with my son, I went to the elders of my church asking for help. And I was told that I should not question the leadership of my husband, and that I needed to pray at the altar for my questioning of my husband because I was in the wrong. At that point in time, I was 6 months pregnant with my son. My daughter was a disabled child, and I was without food. I was being choked and threatened to be punched in the stomach. And I had a child that was severely ill. My son was 2 months old when I left my husband. My son was 2 months old, sitting in a car carrier as my husband beat me for 6 hours while I was holding my disabled daughter. The only thing that I could do was cover her up and take a beating. Now, the question I asked for Lori Alexander and all of her stands is that abuse? Should I have left? Or should I have stayed in that home where I would have inevitably been beaten to death by this Christian man? Should I have subjugated my children to that life? Also, note that my daughter, who had cerebral palsy and who was not even 2 at the time, would have died earlier than she did. At the time that I'm recording this, which is in 2019, my daughter has been gone for 4 years. My husband and his parents did not believe that she needed to go to all the doctor's appointments that she did, and that she did not need to take the medicine that she took, which would have led to the death of my child much younger than she died. So while you're preaching all of the things that you're preaching and all of the head of the household things that you're preaching, and women should not question their husbands that you're preaching, if I would have lived that lifestyle that you preach, Lori Alexander, I would, 1, be dead. My son would not be without his mother. And 2, my daughter would have died in an agonizing death at a very early age. So I want you to think about these dangerous things that you are preaching. And yes, I'm saying you are dangerous, Lori Alexander, and I beg you, I please beg you. Take yourself off the internet. Do not write another book. Erase your existence from the internet and stop poisoning the minds of anybody further. Now I'm going to go ahead and bring my son in here, set up everything so that I can talk to my son. And then when I get finished with his part, I will come back on. We will talk about the blog post that she posted, the Twitter drama, and I will post this video. I also have all of the tweets. I'm going to figure out a way to post them on Facebook or Instagram or somewhere. My Twitter link is down in the description box. If you want to go on my Twitter and actually go through it, it is all still on there. You can. Feel free. It is quite lengthy. It is very, very lengthy because it was a 10-hour battle, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And it is quite nasty at the end. But anyway, guys, I'm going to be right back with my son. Don't go away. Okay, guys, so now I'm back, and this is my son. You probably heard his voice behind the camera a couple of times, but he doesn't usually like to make an appearance on my channel. Hence the, moody teenager thing.
I'm working on my own channel. Thank you very much.
Anyway, so I'm going to ask you a series of questions that have been brought up in Lori Alexander, aka the Transformed Wife's blog. And I want you just to answer like you did the other night when we were talking about this when I was arguing with that guy on Twitter. Now, do you believe a woman should go to college?
Yes.
Why do you believe a woman should go to college?
To get an education.
Do you believe everybody should go to college?
Yes.
Why?
So they get an education and a good job.
Okay. Do you believe a woman should work outside of the home?
Yes.
Why?
Because you get to show that you're... I don't know what to say about this.
Well, let's back it up. Okay, so when you were a kid, like a little kid, little baby, I worked outside of the home, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then as you grew up, I worked outside of the home until your sister got sick, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when your sister got really sick, I stayed at home for 7 years. So what was the difference between when I worked and when I had to stay at home?
We were able to do more stuff when you were able to work than when you were home.
Yeah, like we had more things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when I wasn't able to work, we didn't have anything. And now that I'm working outside of the home again, like, is your life like horrendous and horrible?
No.
Like when I'm off work, what do we do?
Hang out.
And when I'm at work, what do we do?
Talk.
So, I mean, like, would you rather me be at home all the time with you or work?
Work.
So, I mean, really and truly, out of the mouth of a child, his life is not any worse because I work outside of the home or because I have an education or any of those things. Now, let's switch topics. She also believes that women shouldn't have tattoos. Now, I have a number of them. I've had tattoos ever since before my children were ever born. And I've gotten more since my children have been on this earth. And I just started like a whole series of tattoos in the past 2 weeks. Has that affected your life any?
No.
What do you think about it?
They're pretty cool.
So, I mean, it hasn't affected my child any. It hasn't made him think any less of me. Now, for you, when you get old enough to have tattoos, are you going to want a tattoo?
Probably not. I don't like needles.
Now, also, on another fact, as my children were smaller, I had piercings. I have a new piercing now. Does that affect you in any way?
No.
So, I'm not seeing any correlation between me working outside of the home, or me having an education, or me having tattoos, or me having piercings, and my ability to raise my child. Also, let's look at this. You get good grades, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Have you been in trouble with the law or anything like that?
No.
You participate in things. What were you doing the past couple of years outside of school?
The plays.
My son was involved in the community play here in our local town. Let's see here. Also, what are you going to be doing this year when you enter junior high?
Band.
So he has extracurricular activities. Also, let's look at it this extra little thing here. Your dad. My husband now is his stepfather, but he calls him dad because his father. When was the last time you saw your father?
2 years ago.
Well, no, you saw him in December.
December. Yeah.
And then the last time you saw him was at your sister's funeral, which, as I said in the intro, my daughter's been gone 4 years. So he saw him in December. January was the 4-year anniversary. So it was right at almost 4 years since the last time he saw his father. So he calls my husband now dad because that's the person that's here for him when he's sick or needs help with his homework or things like that. If I'm at work, my husband's there. So dad has tattoos, right? And my husband works every day, and they play video games together and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, now let's talk about one other thing. She believes that my only goal in life is to be a wife, mother, and keeper of the house. Now, because I work, I still clean the house, right?
Yeah.
I still cook, right?
Yeah.
So, because I'm working outside of the house, that hasn't changed any of those other things. But now that I have a 14-year-old, he has chores. So he gets to help a little bit. Because when he turns 18, I'm pretty sure he's going to want to move out on his own. So he's going to need to know how to clean his house. He helps me cook sometimes because he enjoys learning how to cook. He doesn't like laundry, so he still doesn't know how to do that. But he needs to know how to do that. But nothing that I have done in getting an education or working outside of the home or anything like that has negatively affected my kid. So, what really is the point of her whole blog again? Now, do you have anything else you want to say?
No.
Okay. So at the end of this video, I will be linking my son's YouTube channel. He has a YouTube channel. What do you do on your YouTube channel?
Ride foolish.
Yeah, he's a little redneck kid. He likes to ride four-wheelers and talk about four-wheeler riding and things of that nature. And he does that out at my parents' house because we live in the city, so they don't allow four-wheelers on the streets. But my parents live out in the country, so he talks about four-wheelers and his dog at his mama and papa's house and his boat and stuff like that. But I will be linking that at the end of this video, so if y'all want to go show him some love, you can do that. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and stop right here, let him go back to what he was doing, and we're going to talk a little bit more about Lori Alexander. Be right back, guys. Okay, guys, so my son is back off doing what he wants to do. I've got everything kind of back to where it was. And we're going to talk about what all kicked this off, and we're going to talk about the blog. So, on July 28th, this is the tweet that kicked everything off. The transformed wife tweeted, "I have been told that no one listens to me because what I teach is dangerous. Don't they know that being a Christ follower is dangerous? Do they think that being a Christian is safe in this world ruled by the Prince of Darkness, we're promised suffering?" To this, I replied, I just want to thank you for even more content for my channel. Yes, you are dangerous, your views are dangerous, your teachings are dangerous, and the fact that you raise children with these same beliefs scares me, another generation of poisonous thinkers. And that kicked off a 10-hour argument with another male who apparently is a huge Lori Alexander fan, and it got dangerous. But in this original tweet, she posted her Called to Suffer blog. So let's go over and check that out, and we're going to see what that's about. She posted this on July 25th, 2019, and it's called Called to Suffer by Lori Alexander. So we're just going to read this, and I'm going to give my reactions as I go. It says, many women don't want to hear about having to suffer in marriage. No, they believe no woman should suffer, and if she's suffering, she needs to get out of the marriage and divorce, but this isn't scriptural. Yes, if she's being physically abused, she needs to seek a safe place, but there's all types of suffering other than this. No one should have to suffer in their marriage. No one should have to suffer anything in their marriage. If you're being physically abused, if you're being sexually abused, immediately get the hell out. If you're being verbally abused, if you're being emotionally abused, yes, there may be some way to work that out, but if it doesn't change, get the hell out, because it's not going to get any better. Okay? Let's just put it out there. Abuse is abuse, and abuse can change. Like, if it starts out verbal and emotional, it can easily go to physical. It's an easy transition. My first marriage went that way. It started out as verbal and emotional abuse and easily transferred to sexual abuse and easily transferred to physical abuse, and I did not get out early enough. But going on. God has called us to suffer, for this is not our home. Suffering causes us to keep our eyes on Christ and lessens our affections for this world. It's easy in our culture to escape suffering through medical advances, drugs, alcohol, materialism, and the many comforts we enjoy. Suffering is not popular in this day and age because it's not necessary. They preach God is love and light and all of this. Why do you have to suffer if it's all love and light? That is what I'm talking about. There's constant contradictions in religion, and that is the reason why people leave in droves. People are leaving religion in droves because of the constant contradictions that are constantly being pointed out by everybody. You can read in one area it says this, and in the very next chapter it'll say something that contradicts the other. If you want an idea of this, check out my latest post on biblical gender roles. I don't know if it's going to be before this or after this, but I'm doing one where he's talking about the preacher / police officer that was calling for officers to arrest and execute homosexuals. I actually read the scriptures, and you can tell from like one scripture to the next the blatant contradictions. It is just amazing to me. But anyway, so then she throws in a scripture I'm not going to read. I have been told that no one listens to me, and many enjoy mocking me because what I teach is dangerous. She puts dangerous in quotation marks. Don't they know that being a Christ follower is dangerous? Do they think that being a Christian is safe in this world ruled by the Prince of Darkness? We are promised that we will suffer and even suffer persecution as Christ followers. Yes, some wives suffer being married to difficult men. This part of living is in a sin-filled and wicked world. There are women I know who are suffering in their marriages, yet as their minds are being renewed with truth and they are being transformed, they are able to endure living with their husbands and sustain their joy. They understand that this life is short, but eternity is long. They pray daily for their husbands' souls and show Jesus to them by their behavior. They are storing their treasures in heaven, and their children are seeing what covenant keeping looks like, even when it's difficult. They are learning that they are not to bail out on their vows when the going gets tough. No, what you're teaching those children is a cycle of abuse. That is the reason why I got out. I did not want my son to be one of these hard-hearted, abusive men. When you are in an abusive relationship, and she's calling it difficult husbands, no, call it what it is. They are abusive. When you are raising children in an abusive household, they become abusers or they become the abused, depending on the gender. If their fathers are abusive, daughters will become the abusees and the sons will become the abusers. It's the cycle of the abuse. That's how it rolls. Sons learn that this is how they are supposed to live, and daughters learn from their mother's actions that this is what they are supposed to take. If you don't take the action to get out and break that cycle, your children will repeat it. I took the action and I got out. I broke the cycle. Since God's kindness leads us to repentance, this is how we are to win others. No one has ever been able to win others through anger, quarreling, or contention. If you are married to a difficult man, find your strength in the Lord, for when you are weak, he is strong. Be in the word daily and renew your mind with truth. Remind yourself that you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Take every thought captive to the obedience of Christ. Remember how much Christ has forgiven you, and forgive your husband in the same way. Forgive freely and love deeply. You will reap what you are sowing. No, what you will do is you will buy into that pattern of abuse, and you will probably become a statistic. Seriously, Lori, I need you to get your head in the real world. I need you to come out of the 1950s and look at the real world. There are women that are dying in abusive relationships every single day. There are children that are dying in these abusive households every single day. And you are preaching to these women to stay in these abusive households by labeling it difficult men instead of abusive men. And you are preaching to keep these cycles of abuse going. You are dangerous. It is sick. And that is the reason why you need to erase your existence from the internet. Stop your abuse of the internet. This is internet abuse right here. What you're doing is poisoning the minds of people to keep this stuff going. This right here is the reason why there are so many people like me that have left religion. There are so many people like me that are angry at people like you. Because when I was in an abusive relationship and I was seeking help, there were people like you that were like, no, it is not his fault. It is your fault. You're not doing it right. No, it was his fault. He was an idiot. He was a moron. And he needed his head knocked off of his shoulders. And I had no support. I had to stand alone with 2 children. One very ill. Luckily, one healthy. And I had to stand alone. I had to stand there on my own and do it myself. Luckily, I stayed in college, even though his mother tried to talk me out of quitting college. I stayed in college. I got my education. I walked out of that abusive home with those 2 children on my hip, and I got a job, and I took care of my babies, and I got a home on my own, and I stayed on my own, and I did what I had to do for my children. I did it myself. If I would have stayed there and listened to people like you, I would not be sitting here right now. I would be dead. My daughter would have died a long time ago, and my son would be without his mother. And he would not be the sweet child that he is now. He would be a hard-hearted little ass because he would be just like his father. So you, yes, you, Lori Alexander, are dangerous. The things you preach are dangerous, and you need to get off of the internet. You need to stop telling people anything at all. Shut your mouth. If this is the way you want to live, live it. You do you. If you want to be abused and you want to be unhappy in your life, you do you. But you do not have the right to tell another person that that is how they have to live their life. I'm going to end it there, people. I'm getting a migraine now. My blood pressure is through the roof. I cannot deal with this woman. She is just completely and utterly dangerous. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you have not already, go ahead and subscribe and ring that bell. Leave me a comment down below. What do you think of the Transformed Wife's preachings on this subject? In the description box down below is my Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I'm going to try to get those Twitter messages uploaded either onto Facebook or Instagram. If you want, you can go over to my Twitter. They're going to be up there. Like I said, this happened over on July 28th. If you want to go back and find that, you can. You can read through it. It was completely disgusting, in my opinion, how these fundamentalist Christians want to just attack people for trying to say, hey, this is dangerous and this is wrong and you shouldn't be saying this. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for me today. I need to go and not think about this for a while. And I will see you on the next one. Bye for now.